the importance of interviews is that you are in front of a human being. So it's not just words, because you can sometimes just send a questionnaire and get the information, but there are lots of other elements that you get during an interview, ranging from the narration, the way the person tells his or her story, the intonation, the emotions that are involved, the pauses. Like, you really have a wealth of information that you can get. If you want to focus on what I wanted to focus on, which is really the interpretation of each person's story, I think interviews are a great tool, because, as I said, they're very rich. And when you talk about migrants, you're talking about an adventure, kind of, someone who has really moved from a home country where they were super acquainted with everything, to a brand new world. And I think qualitative work and interviews can kind of grasp all this content. The project has lots of methodologies in qualitative and quantitative. So there are also half of the researchers are working on quantitative data, and some are doing surveys, some others are using panel data. I mean, each topic and each research question can be like, it really depends on the research question. So depending on the different research questions that were in the projects, different methods were chosen, whether qualitative or quantitative, or some did mixed methods as well. The idea is for people to collaborate to the maximum, because that is basically the purpose. But the idea is that when you're doing qualitative work, you have your interview protocol, right? Yeah, I did not mention that. So you have to work on your interview protocol. And if you don't plan on the collective data collection from the very beginning, it's very hard to catch up later on. So basically, we did not collect data together, because my research question was different from other people, and my interview was already 2 hours long sometimes, or 1 hour. If I wanted to add additional questions to be able to, for my interviews to be used by someone else, that would be too long. And this is what happened. So basically, we did not interchange, I would say, interviews. However, our interviews are accessible. So anyone can access them and ask for them, because it's a shared project, but no one could actually use them so far. So there was collective, I would say, data collection, because if it has to be done, it has to be done very, very, very early on in the project.
I think this is a leitmotif, right? In a lot of the collaborative work, right? The need to invest significant time at the very beginning of a research collaboration to figure out as many as these questions as possible.
Regarding the collaboration, yeah, it's true that technically there are lots of facilitators to do it, but it's mainly on I would say theoretical level that it's harder to do. Like, how can you come up with an interview protocol that can answer different research questions, you know? It's more about that. But if it's just about sharing, yes, that's easily done. We have like as a research project, I'm sure you will have like a common platform where you can connect and share elements and data and documents. And we had that. We had a platform for that. But it's more from a theoretical perspective and practical perspective. How can you fit different answer different research questions in one protocol? Before starting interviews, you have to do pilot interviews, right? You have to kind of rehearse, see how it goes. So I've done a couple. In your case, I think the idea would be to do one mock interview with the interpreter first. So the interpreter kind of knows what to expect from the participants, because he or she would have done the interview. And then through pilot interviews in the presence of the interpreter, like 1 or 2, I think you can like get to see how it will go, basically. Because even when you run an interview with someone in English, I mean, the first interview experience was different from what I expected, you know? So I think the key would be really to have a couple of pilot interviews, and not just to have them, but also to analyze them. Because this way you can make sure that the interview you're doing is getting you where you want to get, basically. But I think pilot interviews are a good exercise. It helped me a lot to maybe and debriefing with the person as well. So I ran the interview, but I also like asked the person, and I always do that actually. I ask them like, what do they think? How did they feel? Was there anything they did not understand? I mean, usually they would say that right away, but yeah, having a discussion and getting feedback from the participant, and maybe the interpreter can get feedback participant as well. While you conduct qualitative research, the first thing is that you get a lot of information, and you get basically more information than you need to answer that particular question. So the first risk is that you start answering too many research questions. So let's say my question is about career capital, but then, they will start talking about motivation, and maybe some aspects that are personal, not just purely professional. Well, so one thing is that qualitative research will get you into lots of aspects and lots of other interesting questions, but you have to keep focused on your question and say, okay, these are interesting future research directions. So whenever there are questions that come up to my mind and that I cannot answer, because we cannot answer everything, I just go directly to my future research directions and directly go to that. Then if there are questions that I could not answer, not because of my question, but because of the choice of methodology, because that was initially your question, I mean, there are some, but I knew for a fact that qualitative research is not here to prove any causality. So of course I was tempted as a researcher, and I was asking myself, so do you think that that assigned expats, for example, are performing better? Because this is, for example, a question that I'm interested in, but that my research design, even if I changed my research question, and even if my research question was about performance of expats, I mean, you cannot, some concepts are tailored for qualitative research and some concepts are tailored for quantitative research. So yes, I was tempted by other questions, but then again, I go straight to future research directions, and I'm glad I'm having these questions because this gives me content for future research. But yes, for example, everything that has to do with performance, because in the literature, I mean, all those skills you're building, or the social network, I mean, you have to make use of it for something, either for your life satisfaction, your job satisfaction, your performance at work, your so whenever you want to measure something, yeah, of course, qualitative research is not gonna be of any help. So, but it can be a starting point. So that's good. I mean, qualitative research can be a starting point for upcoming quantitative research, and it's from there that you get your questions, and this is how you feed your future research, basically. So yeah, but definitely, I mean, when doing qualitative work, I will never manage to answer any, and to measure, I would say, anything. I can interpret, I can draw connections between concepts, but I can't measure I would say anything.